Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel, Coffee Tea Paper. My name is Louise and today I have another episode in the series of videos that is ongoing as and when I get new books around journaling and journaling related topics. So this is a new release this year, 2025, and it's just come out, published in 2025, and it is by Meryl Jamila Hoekstra, and she is a illustrator who has been keeping travel journals which she shares on her social media, and you can also come across her colourful artworks in magazines, posters, postcards commissioned by business clients, or on a more personal level during one of her journaling workshops. And she's based in the Netherlands. The book itself is called Paint, Paper and Going Places, a guide to creative travel journaling, and I picked up this copy from an Australian store called Milligram, but I'm sure if you look up the title and the author, you'll be able to find it at a bookstore or journaling supply store near you. Now, the title kind of gives away some of the key subjects covered in the book: paint, paper, and going places. So its main focus is on travel journaling, whether that's long, far away, overseas travel, or even just day trips into your own city. It's also the main topic, and this is probably because Meryl herself mostly works in this media, is paint, and a bit different from some of the other books that we've looked at. Her preferred paint medium is gouache, and the other technique she uses is collage. That, of course, got me very intrigued to buy this book. So here is a table of contents, and it's quite nice because it's actually set out a bit like an Instagram feed, square photos with just the titles underneath. So like many of these books, the first chapter covers why start a travel journal. Next, the art of observing, which of course if you're painting or sketching, etc., is very important. Chapter 3, what you may or may not need. So it's always interesting to see what people's setups are, what key equipment they use for their journaling. Chapter 4, colours, paint brushes and other technicalities. So once again, sort of expanding on supplies, in this particular case, paint supplies. Chapter 5, turning scraps into stories. So here is where we start getting a little bit into collage or even junk journaling. Chapter 6, she starts getting into the nitty-gritty of the techniques that she uses and uses examples to demonstrate that. So streetscapes and skylines. Chapter 7, painting nature. Chapter 8, the crowning brushstrokes, so how to finish off. That's it. Yeah, that's a little bit about her. She talks a bit about, I guess, how she got into travel journaling, and then of course we start in chapter 1, and this is something I like, even though we're here. I'm filming on a screen, you're watching on a screen, but we're here because we also enjoy analog pursuits, and she talks here about embracing paper over screens and allowing that experience to help you immerse yourself into the experience of travel, like not always looking at everything through the back side of your phone, for example. And of course that leads in very nice into the art of observing. So I'll just keep doing a bit of a flip through here. As you can see, like many of these books, the text is a little bit light on. I think in this case it's quite concise and but there's lots of visual inspiration as well. She talks about, you know, materials and things. I think it's quite interesting that she uses gouache, which I wouldn't have thought would lend itself to being as portable or as easy to use or quick drying, for example, as watercolor is for a travel journal, or even pencils for that case. But here she has a little travel palette of gouache. Yeah, she's got this very useful guide about blending colours, how to make cold tones or dreamy colours, how to make warm tones or earthy colours using gouache. She does a very brief page on different painting techniques and different brushes. And this, most of the book focuses on painting as the way to work in her travel journal, and there's just a brief bit about collage or junk journaling here. She calls it scrapbooking as well. So all of those terms are fairly interchangeable. You can see an example of her collaged scrapbooking junk journaling page. She even talks about using unexpected 3D objects like an envelope, and then she gets further into, so that's really, I just find the start of that chapter. So this is sort of the only bit of the book, if you can see, that covers sort of more collage and junk journaling style. The rest of it is really mostly focused on painting or illustrating, and she has lots of amazing illustrations in here, but then she actually gives some step-by-step instructions as well, which is quite nice if you are wanting to start using gouache and using these very almost like children's book illustration type imagery in your journals. Because I haven't never worked with gouache, I found this section of the book particularly interesting about painting a cityscape. Like, it would never dawn on me to even attempt something like that. It just, I mean, look at the number of the shapes and the different shades of yellow and beige and ochre and pink, and yeah. But she breaks it down really nicely and gives a really good example of this using gouache, and she just basically uses shapes and blocks in the shapes and then goes in to add in the sky and final details on the buildings. And here you can see, while it's not an exact, it's not meant to be like a complete and exact replica of what she has seen, you can see here that it definitely gives the impression very, very nicely. And if I could produce something like that, I would be ecstatic. Of course, one of the things that's very key to travel experiences is the food that you eat, and so she has a little talk about painting food. So she doesn't actually go into giving a tutorial on that in here. She then gets into painting nature. Whoopsie. She breaks down how to do mountains, trees, even leaves. She has another case study, some beautiful cloud observations, a step-by-step, which not as detailed as that Italian village that we saw. You know, she does sort of give more description in the text. She's broken down the colors that she uses here. She talks about different techniques to create highlights and interesting features like dots and dashes, and also about using pencils to finish it off as well. She talks here about some little vignettes, water, flowers. This is quite interesting. This really forced perspective. And then, of course, some words of encouragement at the end about trying new things and getting out of your comfort zone, different surfaces, and challenge yourself. And then she even talks about protecting your journals with potentially varnishing over the top. An interesting take here is about she's created some souvenirs of coasters, for an example, and she's painted on the reverse side of the coaster. Some details about lettering, some tips, tiny journals, how to make a little zine or your own little tiny journal, and then some acknowledgements at the end. And then, of course, another sort of Instagram style layout on the back, which is full of charming and inspirational pages out of her travel journals. Yeah, so I really like this one. I think it's a really nice book. I think it's got enough new and interesting information in it that it adds something extra to my own personal journaling book collection. I like the fact, given all my family is from the Netherlands and I go there regularly, I like seeing she does a lot of Dutch countryside and Dutch city illustrations on her Instagram, so I personally enjoy that as well. That is the latest. I'm hoping to have another one later in the year. I've got a book on pre-order that I'm quite excited about. So if this is a series that you're interested in, please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the bell notification so that when I upload new videos about journaling and journaling related books, you will be the first to know. If you have any suggestions or recommendations for me, I would also like to know that. Please leave it in the comments below. Is this a book you might think about getting? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.